when the evil of night descends the land, with completion in order, this hexad of signs mark the beginning of the Great Conjunction. In the House of Durst, the ghosts unborn, through life, unlife, unliving shall scorn. The soon drowned child of Bistani descent either feeds or denies the great serpent. Waiting for years, Devil's Son will rise to stand up against evil. Curse breakers arrive. The light of night, shining over the dead, will shudder and fail, turning all to red. Inahira will make his fortunes reverse, dooming all to live forever cursed. Bodiless shall journey to the time before, where happiness to hate creates land and lore. Beware the Dukar, for he and he alone may bring these 6 signs, destroying our home.
As we return, we begin by having a view of the mansion that you all stand in. Well, you stand in our room, but the mansion kind of zooms out to the middle of the Svalak Woods, high. A smallish but kind of big lake, a medium-sized lake, not that far away. A tower caps it like a helmet above the night.
The lake?
We kind of zoom over around to the north of this forest and the lake of Lake Baratok. The mountains, the white-capped mountains, close by as we zoom and fly over. Stepping forward is a form standing on top of a giant rock that juts out of the hillside. Stands proudly a giant elk. Its huge bone antlers coming down and out like a huge bowl that could gulp gallons of water. Spikes. This elk is beautiful and magnificent, a deep brown to its color. It stands proudly overlooking the mountains.
Almost what we see right now.
I'll just describe it. Then we go fly fast over the Svalak Woods to Castle Ravenloft. And inside, Strahd is walking down the hallway with a click, clack, click, clack. You see him walking down an immaculate red carpet. His hands tucked behind his back as his clawed hands reach for a door and open it. Squeak! Clack, clack. He walks into this room that's lit by a candle. You hear as we look over and see a man, a human hog-tied, with his hands and his legs behind him. He's shirtless and he has like pants that are like ripped and stuff. He has like this brown bag that's been tied tight over his neck that you can see like veins popping out of his neck as he's like very hard to breathe. And Strahd just boom, like kicks this form. It like rolls over to the side, and Strahd like walks up to this huge chair that is facing a fireplace that is lit. Sits down, slumps into the chair. His clawed hands scratch on his arm chest, and it looks up at his face. First his chest in these royal garbs, a red necklace with a red jewel in silver metal at his neck, emitting a slight light that you kind of notice. It goes up to his perfectly shaven chin, no fur, no hair to Strahd's chin, and a toothy smile comes across his cheeks as he says, "Let the experiment begin."
Wait. Did we
Back at the tower, you guys are all standing in a mausoleum tower. A giant serpent bone body spirals up to the attic. Stairs that lead up as you guys ascend these stairs. Climbing to the top of these stairs, there's giant bones as the ribcage of the serpent crosses over the staircase and loops back under, and you have to kind of like duck under its giant ribcage. It's rock hard bones. Dragon bone is very strong and sturdy. None of it broken or even chipped. And you go under it, the porous bones. As you continue climbing up, it comes out into a landing, and in this attic that's made of stone, on the far corner there is a small little brown end table of sorts. And as you guys kind of walk up, the serpent dragon loops back and forth around the rafters and comes back into a snake position down to a point, mere 10 to 15 feet off of the floor. The dragon's neck not supporting the ancient dragon's skull. Under the suspended neck, etched into the stone wall, is that same verse that you read down below. Here lies the bones and treasures of Argynvost, Lord of Argynvost Holt, and founder of the Order of the Silver Dragons. And that's etched in Draconic. As you guys walk into the top of this room, it's a 10 to 15 foot attic. There's very dim light in here, as it's only coming through holes that beam through the roof and to the rafters. It's all made of wood besides the floor is stone. There's a window far off and below to the left, kind of, that is wooden shutters that are closed shut currently. It's deathly silent in here. Dust, undisturbed. No breeze. Only the silent foot and breathing of yourselves. What do you do?
I start heading up the tower.
You guys are at the top of the tower.
Do I go to investigate where the serpentine point of the spine, where the head would be at the top of this? That's where I go investigate.
I start looking for that figure that was looking at me.
What figure?
So there's a man in the window you saw.
Yes.
That looked through at this tower. We don't know.
You
about
look
it.
around and you can plainly see everywhere, and there's no man. Only the skeletal body of the serpent looping around and around.
There's a brown little table though.
There's a brown small table underneath the dragon's neck.
So he'd already been looking at that. 'Cause he's
Klaus.
looking at
You take a couple steps in as you walk in. Your boots clatter at the stone. As you get closer, the end table is completely empty. Again, there's a dragon's neck that droops about maybe 8 feet above your head. And you're kind of looking down at this table, which, as I said, has about 2-3 centimeters of dust.
I reach my hand around and under, making sure there's not any secret compartments along the table.
Roll investigation.
Awesome.
What do you guys do?
I'm gonna look for there any secret doors or something.
Besides the huge dragon.
Ooh.
You're kind of looking around too, and you don't find any.
15.
So you kind of look around, you search under the end table. Nothing.
And looking at the tower, we don't see any raised hills besides the
There's
tower
only
on
one
the lake.
window, and it's underneath, kind of left by next to Klaus.
And it faces the
And-
tower on the lake.
It faces, you are not sure which way because it's closed currently.
Oh, because I'm sorry. When you described the,
It's like a wooden shutter.
I know when you described the Strahd scene, it was I didn't know how he was seeing it, who was just seeing it, so I didn't see any of that stuff actually. Okay.
No, that was just
confusing.
that was just
Shutter.
outside shit.
Yes. Right. Shut out. I'll open it.
You walk up to shutters that are down, and you easily lift them up, and they all lift simultaneously, connected by string. As you kind of peer out, all you can see is a misty forest down below. Right about here, Trefor, you are looking around, and again, you feel this strange spiritual connection in this room. What do you do?
I look around to see if I see anything.
Your eyes follow along the serpent's body, looping around rafters, skeletal. No flesh, bone white. You look around as follow the body towards the neck that arcs up as if a snake about to strike,
Missing a head.
missing a head. But your eyes begin to glow. As you follow up this neck, your eyes get brighter and brighter. The spiritual form of the white dragon forming before your very eyes. Its neck begins to glow a light blue, like flesh as it like grows, and like now there's like a neck on this dragon. And as the neck follows it up, like these horns burst out of nowhere, and another set of horns, and a snout begins to grow. As then a jaw, and then there's draconic teeth, and they're spiritual. As this dragon wriggles back and forth, getting longer and longer, protruding out. You guys all look over and you see this. Trefor is standing there. His eyes are like bright blue, matching the exact color of the spirit that's coming out of this freaking dragon. And it's slowly coming out as like one, and then two arms quickly burst out. It's like a Chinese dragon. And it's just very long and serpentine. And again, the two arms poke out, and it just sits there hovering above Trefor as it like looks down.
Nope, last time. Well, hopefully this time. I'm kind of like.
But yeah, we're both kind of like we're trying to. I'm trying to stay close to the kid, but I'm seeing the dragon. I'm kind of like keeping my hands on both of my blades right now, like because this is like.
At this very moment, you all you're like looking around, and you see a blue light coming from the table. As you look down, there's a sword, and on the sword, it's this beautiful gold filigree. And the blade is a beautiful, like sharp and straight, beautiful blade.
I grab it.
And as you reach for the blade, it's spiritual, yet you feel you can grab it. Its weight, non-existent. You lift up this sword and kind of swirl it back and forth, and then the sword falls through the back of your hand and is floating there. And all of a sudden, it gets tilted like this, and a hand appears, an arm, elbow, up to a shoulder plate, filled with armaments and all these kinds of different trophies hanging off of it. And then a giant helmet appears, draconic, and then the rest of his other shoulder appears. As all of a sudden, a spiritual draconic knight appears before you, sheathing his sword that Klaus was just touching. And he takes a couple steps forward and bows to all of you. This man has a helmet in his left hand with horns, draconic horns coming off of it. He has long shoulder-length hair whipped back like this, pulled back. It's silver. This man has magnificent features, one of the most beautiful mans you guys have ever seen in your life.
Yes.
Visual, you go visual with it, aren't you?
You guys hear a ding come from Klaus's armor. No.
Ew.
As he kind of walks up and speaks. Long ago,
when the General Strahd drove his enemies into the valley, determined to annihilate them. The last thing he expected to encounter was a silver dragon.
As he motions toward the magnificent silver serpentine dragon above you guys. The dragon's spirit cracks a toothy smile and looks longingly out the window for a moment, as if reliving an old but fond memory to itself. Its gaze comes back to you all, and the man walks up closer towards Trefor.
I was that silver dragon. I had come to the valley years earlier, in the guise of a nobleman named Lord Argynvost. I actually didn't lair in the valley solely because of its idyllic beauty. I learned of a place hidden in the Balinox called the Amber Temple by scholars who knew of its existence. A repository of evil power, guarded by the forces of good. I wanted to make sure that the dark powers locked away there wouldn't be allowed to escape. So, I built this fortified mansion, Argynvost Holt, close by. And I watched the comings and goings of Zelinka Pass. With the help of Sanzor the Manhunter and Shriek the Abductor, not many made it through the pass anyway.
Who's Sanzor?
Sanzor the Manhunter. A giant wolf that stalks the Balinox. Few men have escaped his grasp. After time, my material wealth and my elite charisma
He lifts out his hand and
attracted other champions of good, and valorous knights flocked to the valley to join my prestigious order.
he kind of tucks both of his hands. At first he flips his long hair black, a strand that had fallen forward as he was speaking, slicks it back and puts both of his hands, and kind of turns on his heel and just looks up at the huge dragon.
Is this you?
Only those who were ranked highly in the order were told of my true nature.
As he cracks this smile,
I know your nature.
and the spirit, human form, shrinks and shrinks until it is gone.
And only the dragon remains.
And only the dragon now remains.
He was projecting his spirit in two forms.
I know his true form.
And now we look up at the dragons.
The dragon's neck, serpentine neck, waving back and forth, just looking down at you with white eyes.
We see him obviously. So I speak. The first thing I say is, "So we must return your skull here to its rightful place among your bones, for this land to know peace." Is that what? What is the price for it, dragon? What happens when we return your skull? Where is the twisted tree?
So many questions. Such little time. Where you seek is atop a hill to the south.
And we return the skull here.
On this pedestal.
The dragon motions down, and there's again that immaculate pedestal. And as you kind of look at it, these white runes appear on all over the table and begin to glow with the magic that you can feel to the very core of your person. And he like motions, and he kind of looks at you guys. Kind of look around at the room, and it's like ancient and.
Do you have any other questions, bitches?
I know your true form.
Yeah, we.
Don't you all?
Alright, one more question. Who was it that took your head? The legends have never been truly brought up as much. Who was it that took your head in the final battle?
The dragon swirls in a small twist, its body extending furthermore and furthermore, the true length really being shown, as this huge dragon skull comes nose to nose with you, Klaus. A grinning, toothy smile. A huge blue tongue kind of flicks the air to taste as it approaches you.
Ethereal.
And it licks its lips. And with a smile it says,
Ah, yes. The downfall of the Order.
the dragon looks down
What
in what can only be described as shame, sorrow, and utter disbelief. He then locks eyes on the floor, and with an unblinking stare he begins to speak, but with his words, a picture in all of your minds begins to form. And there, we see like the field where you guys were all standing, and that giant battlefield that you guys were all witnessed in mist form kind of approaches you and like you guys can see people just attack. This is in real life though, it's not mist form. It's like just these warriors attacking. You can see that there's like maybe 85 of the paladins all sporting draconic, armor and shit, whereas the warriors who are fighting them, the army, outnumber them 10 to 1. And each of the enemies have these demonic kind of like spikes on top of their helmets as they all clash.
During the war between Strahd and his foes, which were the free peoples of the valley, and my order, all who did not submit were met with blade first, then diplomacy. But do you think I, Lord Argivast, bowed down? No. My paladins held off our land, the middle stretch of the valley, for many months, but one night, under my very nose, the general and his 5-man stealth squad somehow managed entrance to the Amber Temple, and that is when everything changed.
Shling! The sword appears out of nowhere again, and out walks out of the darkness is the knight,
It's human.
his humanoid form. The dragon's shoulders sink and the spirit shrinks until we see the warrior, the knight. He slicks back his hair again, and his deep, sunken-in eyes filled with sorrow. The general not got his hands on an ancient collection of long-lost authors. Strahd and his army had gained ancient powers from the tomes. In the fields below the mansion, that battle was fought, and it was a bloodbath. Even with me in true form, my knights were overwhelmed when Strahd and his now devil-horned army reinforcements swept into the valley. Those forces slew the last of the knights and battled my dragon form inside Argynvost Holt. The mansion and the order demolished by this new devil Strahd.
after I was slayed. Strahd had my corpse butchered and hacked to pieces, my scales manufactured, and my head and body stripped to the bone. My head then transported to Castle Ravenloft as a trophy.
It's at Castle Ravenloft?
The man breathes a deep sigh and then solemnly looks at all of you, his eyes filling with tears. Since my death, Argenvoss Holt has become a haunted ruin, a former bastion of nobility and light turned into a place of desolation and unrest. He motions around to the decrepit old mansion. You see the entire side of the mansion has been destroyed, and the second-hand floor again is just completely a mess. The mansion is completely empty of what you guys did see. The roof again has a giant hole in the center of this old building. Please, I beg of you, find my skull and return it to my skeletal shoulders. When resurrected and whole again. He turns back towards you and faces you and kind of stands and steadies himself. I am an invaluable ally against the devil Strahd von Zarovich. And with that, he pulls out his sword. And again, it's this badass dragon sword as it like slashes like a gust of air, like blows back as you guys' hair like blows back. As that moment, he turns towards you and sheathes his blade. He gets on one knee, looks up at you. A tear goes down his eye, drips off of his chin. He drops his head, puts his helmet on. It's this badass dragon with like a twisted horn at the top, spikes protruding everywhere.
Just like his father.
He slowly stands up. Puts his arm to his sword and fades before your very eyes.
So we have to go south. Where he said.
The skull is in Castle Ravenloft.
How are we supposed to get into Castle Ravenloft?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of ways too.
So your vision was wrong about the tree?
That was just some other foreshadowing. And not to worry things, my compatriots, but shouldn't we find your witchman friend?
I don't know where he went.
It's probably dead. We just.
Probably.
We don't know where he went. He
know
went off by himself.
he did. He was in the room. He just left. I fear his heart and soul, as well as his mind, has been stricken by the curse and madness of this room.
Klaus is like talking and walking as he always does, as his voice gets lower and lower. Klaus, as you walk out into the graveyard, I fucking love Klaus, sorry. As you walk out into the graveyard, you suddenly feel like someone or something, actually I already did that. It's like, the thick fog obscures the fact that 5 of the graves have been dug up. Upon closer inspection, you guys actually can see this fact.
So it was 3 and now it's 5?
As you finish your sentence, you kind of get close up and you're looking around, Klaus, and this is the first time we've actually noticed, but there's 5 of the graves that have been dug up.
So you mean, wasn't there 3 and now there's 2?
And you kind of look down and you see claw marks, you see Klaus kind of inspecting this, and his vision actually goes over to Klaus's vision and what he sees, and it's very weird. It's all black. He like looks back and forth, and we can see like the blood pulses as like through the tower. He can see exactly where Percy and Trefor are standing in the blackness. Their veins and all of their arteries. He like looks back around, and his eyes adjust as he looks back down, and it's like a very light kind of cover over his vision, and he can see the indentions very easily in the dust.
I pick up some of the
You pick it up and smell it, and you can tell that a corpse buried there crawled out of the earth not long ago, 2 days.
So undead? or something, some other kind of, it's undead, right?
You just know it was the corpse.
Are any of the graves from tonight, more recent birth, disturbed?
You kind of look around and peek, and they look all to be from all about the same time. Besides one, this one right here is. You come up and expect it, and the dirt is very hard, indicating it's been here for a bit longer.
I want to use that particular vision again. Can I see if I can hypothetically track down where Callan is, if he's still in the mansion?
You look in towards the mansion, and you can actually see his veins pulsing. Callan is sitting on the steps, and we actually cut over to Callan at that very moment when Callan is seen sitting on the staircase, his feet dangling down, and he's just holding on to the rails, and his head is up against it, and his shoulders are shuddering, and you see down below his feet a little pool of tears that are slowly filling up, and you hear a slight sobbing come from Callan as we cut back over.
I found him. He's at the front of the mansion.
It's at about this moment when you guys kind of walk out.
As I turn from the
Did you have
angle.
a vision?
Huh?
Did you have a vision?
No, I used my.
He has heat vision,
Oh.
and so you can see. It's specifically blood, so he can see blood.
I had to focus really hard. I was looking
You can
using
see it
past
through
vision.
objects and shit too. It's pretty sweet.
Okay.
It's only but it only works if I can see if there's anything living. So maybe rats. But if there's nothing in there, it's just still looking into a building.
It's pretty cool.
Other than that, it's just seeing the blood.
And his other one was his dark vision. Is what I was kind of ruling it.
I had to really focus.
His detective vision.
Yeah. Well, it's just.
All right. I'm gonna just kind of narratively take over a little bit here. You guys all kind of coalesce back at the beginning of the mansion.
Yeah, because I let him know that's where I kind of looked like he was.
Is that where you guys wanted to go? Sorry, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Unless you guys wanted to do something.
I told him
trying to
no.
leave.
No, I told him.
There's literally nothing else left to do. Just like. As you guys kind of walk and approach, you guys find Callan standing right about here, and he notices you, and you see him kind of wipe his chin and kind of snort, and he just kind of walks out of the mansion, and you get a very negative vibe off of Callan. He's being very weird, honestly.
Your friend is losing himself.
Yeah, we all seem to be having issues.
Yes, we are.
As you guys kind of all walk outside, I'll say that it's taken probably 2-3 hours, maybe no, because you did the ballista thing. I'm gonna say you guys have been in here for 5-ish hours, so it's almost nighttime. It's about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it'll be night. The sun will go down in maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
And some of the parts,
Resting.
and as we do that, I want to kind of explain to them a few of the things, just as we're walking and getting to whatever.
Let's roleplay it.
No, I'm
You guys notice the sun and stuff, and kind of see.
listen, compatriots, I should tell you a few things since last we met. I went to what house was it? I got my ass kicked in.
There's
The
no-
mortuary,
Oh, the
grave.
coffin maker shop.
When I went to the coffin maker shop, I tried to retrieve the ancient sacred bones that protected the town of Malaki from all the beasts around it. But the moment I had touched the bones, I was surrounded by the spawn of my father.
Wow.
Trefor, you must never speak his name in this land other than what the dragon have done. He sees all, so only call him the devil or vampire, our lord. Do never call him, as I just don't actually say it, but he knows what I'm trying to say. So,
Huh?
what about I
Roll
already had this-
intelligence. No, I'm kidding.
Come on now.
You understand
is-
what he's saying, Trav?
Yeah.
Once I was taken into his dungeon after left here for dead, I had escaped with a prisoner who I had released, who would only betray me later on as one of the upper tier werewolves of this land who have sold themselves to his influence. I left it maimed and ran. I've met Dr. What was her name?
She wasn't doctor. She
No, I
told you
mean-
her name was Ez.
Did she? Or she explained it. I'm trying to say,
Just farted.
But he's an
Really?
Oh gosh. Just keep going.
Anyway, I met this
Come closer.
huntress.
Come closer. I'm looking.
This huntress named Ez, who had assisted me after the situation. She had been working with the doctor.
All of a sudden, you guys hear there's like a bunch of flap. As like there's like a flock of ravens, a black mist, kind of flying from overhead as like probably 20 to 25 all and like fly down and like all land on the spot of like spread throughout about 3 trees in front of you.
Do they have it like the trees are kind of surrounding us?
The tree sways kind of with the weight of this flock on this, and then after a moment or two.
Do they have the way they're perched on each individual tree is like boom, 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 almost like surrounding us?
No, it's just like, here's the mansion, here's the forest. It's like these 3 trees right here is filled with a flock of ravens now.
Which direction is it?
You kind of look and it's damn near dead west.
Good, we're going south anyway, so. We're cautiously watching this so we can talk now. We're not hearing ka anymore.
At this very moment, you're kind of looking around, and down the path, you actually can see a sign, an old wood post. It kind of catches your eye at this very moment, and as you guys like keep talking.
Anyway, once I was taken there, I discovered the weakness of my father. A crystal heart in his tower that has... Any damage he takes in his physical form is nothing because it only damages the heart. The only way to truly destroy him is destroy the heart, then destroy his form. Have any of you ever...
As you guys are looking at Klaus, he has a serious look in his eye. He's not really looking at any of you directly. He's more like staring down and just kind of reliving a past moment. As like you actually, he like instinctively reaches down at his left hand, and there's this badass black blade at his side.
After I fought my father, after the loss of the huntress who served the Dr.
Ripton.
Dr. Van Ripton?
She worked with him in some ways. I gained this blade my father stuck in my heart after losing her. I pull out the sword of Strahd.
It's a black blade, and at the hilt, its gold hilt, are 2 bat wings that protrude out. The blade itself is of black steel, and it has like a red aura kind of to it, with gems inlaid in the hilt. It's a beautiful weapon.
Can I see that?
I looked at him for a brief moment. No. Because then I resheathed my weapon. I see you already bear a weapon of this. I can just kind of sense a similar energy to the one I'm wielding. Just a similar thing. Where did you get that sword?
The sword?
He like looks over and his eyes, Klaus's blue eyes, kind of dart over from the eyes of Trefor and this big blade. And just speaking of, Trefor has 2 giant axes on his back. Mm-hmm. Attached to his shoulder, he has a great sword that I'm about to describe. A second great sword on the other side. Mm-hmm. At his waist, he has a long sword and then a silver sword. He has daggers hanging out of his boots. He has a whip that's coiled up, but you can see his frayed that's like broken half. He has this badass dragon armor now, and this cape. This super sick cape that was like a tapestry that he has tied around his neck, depicting a raven. Trefor actually looks really badass.
You're welcome for that armor.
Remember where I was going with that, but
yes,
he looks like this.
And now his sword.
The sword, yes. Looking at this sword, Trefor, you pull out this sword. Your hand grasps on a leather as you pull it out. One hand. This weapon actually has a black rose on the hilt, facing up, as it like twists and there's vines as the grip. You can tell it's made out of leather. It's all decorative. The hilt this time, the vines protrude out into 2 black roses on each side, and the blade, a beautiful dark silver with 0 nicks or cracks or anything in it. It's the most sharpest blade you've ever seen. And at the very end, it like diamonds out. So like there's like a head to it. And it's a giant 2-handed weapon that Trefor kind of can just wield with one hand. It's actually really sick. And Trevor's like,
yes, I got the weapon when we divided another dreadlord just like your father.
What was his name?
Lord
As
Strahd.
I looked at it, as I immediately recognized the rose. And do I know any tales of that from my father?
Roll intelligence.
Okay, let's go do this. Wait, intelligence?
Just straight up intelligence.
Boom. 18.
You know briefly of that there's other domains that, and you know of Lord Soft, but you don't know that much specifics of him other than, he fought your father in the past.
How did you become his sword? What happened?
Which is a very impressive thing, obviously, if he, survived the devil.
Yeah, if you took this weapon and who fought a being who fought my father and did not lose.
We did lose one person.
As I'm assuming they tell me the story, you guys will now tell me the story.
Nobles.
Did they tell me the story of kind of what happened with the fight with like Azaleen and a little bit how they lost Rhaegar? Because
You
I
can't
have.
say that. They didn't tell you
Oh, I'm
anything.
asking, so what happened?
Lots of shield bashing.
He took Lord Soft on basically all by himself, no physical strength.
And did the
He
soft?
had this with his shield and knocked his sword out of the hand. I ran, grabbed it, and he defeated Lord Soft, and then he died with Azaleen.
Should talk this way.
And then he died with Azaleen.
The lich who was imprisoned by my father. He resides in these
He
realms now.
escaped his dread realm.
They all
He's
are.
the champion.
And from the Great Conjunction.
How do you know about the Grand Conjunction?
The whole sky was red, child. The world's shaped. And as my father laughed and spit in my face as his spawn beat me, and that he did too. I know of all the things that you do in that.
That same day that you were
You went into a
taken,
big.
that you were taken. He killed my best friend, Gaio Tagma. Destroyed by the devil. Ripped to shreds.
Well, the only thing we can do now is try and finish him. Now we know where his weakness is. If we need the skull to bring back here, maybe we can try and do a 2-for-1. If we can sneak into the castle and on our way get resources and possibly help for a diversion, maybe we can be able to go in and steal the skull while one of us maybe try and destroy the crystal.
It's at this moment you hear the soft sound getting louder and louder by the second. The sound of not wolves. But you hear the sound of a rolling wagon approach. A cart pulled by nothing makes its way up the path. A brown box in its cargo. This horseless carriage silently rolls up with squeaking wheels and slowly comes to a stop about here, maybe 30, 40 feet away.
I just had my
It
sword.
has a white cloth over it, and you can tell that there's like a brown piece of wood, huge, in the center of it.
One more thing I must mention, my compatriots. Vasily is secretly my father in disguise. I'm sorry to tell you this now, but if he walks through that door, we need to be ready. He conned me into going in the house, then he side jumped me after the things with this one.
As you guys see, kind of Klaus and Trevor eyeing at this carriage that just pulled up.
He's just holding the sword behind his back like this.
As I keep
You know
my
how
hands
I-
on both my hilts of my blades.
James, you know how like Cloud holds his sword like this? This is literally how he's holding it, one-handed.
Nice. As you approach the carriage, Trevor, the white cloth draped over the cart flaps in the slight breeze. Again, it's slightly raining, nothing too intolerable, but you guys are damp at this moment. Again, the cawing of the ravens from the tree to the west of you, as they're all kind of looking down at you. As you approach, What do? You hear like the sound, it's kind of like that.
Dragon Rider.
Huh?
As I look towards Percy.
What?
Yeah, I've seen you have the ability to open locks from a distance. Do you think you could?
Open that door? Or
From a
Sure.
distance. Yes.
Is that open? Does it damage? Or take the claw out?
Both.
As you guys approach with your mage hand or levitation, with the cloth gets ripped of the buttons that were latching it attached to the carriages. A plain coffin is revealed as the top of the white cloth flaps over. A regular brown coffin, and inscribed on the coffin is a name.
What does it say? I'm gonna try and read it up closer to see.
No.
What's your last name, Trevor?
Belmont?
Inscribed on the coffin is Trefor Belmont
I say
in
this.
gold filigree.
I say this loud. Stay away, young Dukar.
Again, you hear, it's at this moment you guys hear the sound of like small, light little hits coming from inside of this coffin.
As
You flip open the lid,
as I keep.
a swarm of bats squeak, 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 like fly and flock out of this coffin as they all form in this block. You guys all like kind of back up. This huge black cloud of bats flies out and off into the night as the sun finally dips down into the darkness.
Welcome to the night of the world.
Like a prank call? Gotcha!
Is there anything else in the coffin?
Far away, a toothy smile cracks on Master's lips.
God damn it.
Got him! You see that? I got him good! Scare him with bats!
I was like, and I
kill him!
I look towards Castle.
Scared.
I look towards Castle Ravenloft.
When in doubt, always scare with bats.
We do it. There's nothing else in the coffin.
It's empty.
As you I guess.
And as soon as the coffin, as the bats fly up, the coffin shuts, and the cart begins to roll back down the path and disappears into the forest.
Smash it.
No longer. Yeah. Is that what you do?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Telekinetically, you use telekinesis and just into this tree.
Yeah.
He just throws it into a tree.
As you blast, it's kind of moving kind of quickly. Roll against me, see if you can reach it.
You got it. Come on. You got this.
11.
So, plus 1 attack is a 12.
Oh,
Yeah.
as you're barely about to, all of a sudden, just smash this like fist, like it's probably like a tendril kind of looking thing, and it smashes the crate and just bursts into splinters of wood.
That was great.
And like this one wheel like bounces off and then rolls off and smashes into a tree.
As we all start heading south, I start walking south.
Well, is the
As you
skull south or is it in the castle?
and plus, it is completely nighttime now.
True
As you
that.
guys are all standing outside, Percy's sitting on a dragon
Yeah.
outside of the mansion.
Forward.
So do you guys want to set up camp right about here?
Go back inside and sleep in there.
Yeah, let's see.
I
We
haven't
can
slept
create a
in
forest
4
here.
days.
As the darkness overpasses you, you guys kind of realize how tired you are. All night last night, you stayed up in the crypt, and you guys haven't slept in
Try for rest.
multiple days. You guys actually gained 2 levels of exhaustion at this very moment.
Take a long rest.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
I know.
But you guys are just like, it kind of just hits you right now. You're exhausted.
I was woke up, so am I good?
Klaus, you're fine.
So I'm gonna stay up and watch everybody, so everybody can sleep. Yeah, that's not creepy. If they're watching to sleep.
All right. So you guys, where do you guys plan on sleeping? Just in the mansion, probably in like this first room where you guys found Klaus.
Yeah.
All right. I'll say you guys drag over a bed or whatever,
Yeah.
and you guys all like Klaus. You like find a spot up on like this end table and you kind of sit crisscross and right by the door. Trevor, you cuddle up to a corner over here. Callan, same thing, the opposite corner, and he kind of turns away, his back towards you guys almost immediately. And Percy, you're kind of just sitting down. Trevor immediately went to bed. Klaus is kind of, I don't even know really what Klaus is doing. He's kind of sitting there with his hands crossed in front of his face.
Occasionally, maybe going outside into the open space and practicing close swords every once in a while, just to get a handle of my new blades.
Everyone, like, actually, like, as you're kind of, like, searching around, Klaus just immediately walks outside and disappears. Percy, we're left with just you.
What?
You're the only one awake.
No, I'll still on this.
You kind of, like, come over here and find yourself a little spot, too.
A little napper.
As you lay down, you can't help but kind of see Callan, and you hear slight whispers coming from Callan, as Callan's like whispering to himself and kind of shaking and just being super weird. And Callan has been putting off this really weird vibe.
You alright, buddy?
Yeah, just leave me the fuck alone. Just leave me alone.
Well, we've been doing that all day. He's been acting stranger and stranger.
He like grabs onto his clothes and kind of like puts it over his shoulder and just tightens up and it's smaller into a ball, and he like kind of shivers as Percy, you just kind of like shrug and you just kind of turn back around and you try to get some sleep.
I periodically keep coming in and out every 5 minutes.
Trevor and Percy, I need a perception check at disadvantage.
At disadvantage?
You are asleep.
That's 2, so
He said disadvantage.
that means I rolled again to keep the 2. Disadvantage.
Disadvantage, roll one more time.
I already rolled twice.
What was your lowest number?
My lowest number was 7.
7. Okay. Let me go grab my drink.
I need a burger.
Quick 5-second break, okay?
Oh, good.
Watch out for Jake's computer.
Okay. Just let us get it first.
Sorry. Yeah, okay.
So,
Just leave it unplugged. We'll plug it in when we come back. Just leave it unplugged. It's not gonna shut off. I'm doing good with Klaus?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, make sure I'm
Be right back. I just gotta go grab the beer real quick.
repeat.
Just quick 2-second break.
Well, they're in Barovia, so it's natural.
We're just taking a quick 2-second break.
Like a body sword.
Yeah?
Yeah, like my thighs, and my back, my chest. Oh, God. Where did you come from?
Everywhere. I moved through the shadows.
You. Just a second ago, we were just upstairs.
No, I wasn't. I might have been astral projected when I peed. I kind of leaned over for a second. But if I did, good for you for seeing me.
I just kept on walking and I'm like, so, whoa.
That's because I'm magic, kiddo. You see? That's one of my magic tricks right there. I come and go as I please, when nobody, and I can be completely seen or unseen temporarily. Oh no!
James, what's your favorite part about Space Science?
Everything's getting worse and worse. I can see where this will be the curse. From vengeance, blood, and wicked thirst. Burger. You guys use up? Was that the last burger?
This was going around.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know if you guys used up all the burgers or not.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, I can leave, huh?
I don't know, it's cool. I'll eat them if you do. I'm just saying if you want to take them too. Right? Whatever's cute.
You ready, James?
Okay. Are you ready, Jake?
Yeah. Remember, I've been periodically coming in every about 5 minutes, just checking up on everybody.
We see, as we come back, Klaus has been outside. He kind of does this and like kicks and like karate moves with his sword and kind of just practices in the air for like a few minutes. Kind of looks around and just in the darkness, his eyes adjusting very easily and just kind of keeping watch. You know, walks back in and comes and checks in on everybody. Just kind of peek in. You sit back down on your little end table and you dangle your legs off and you look and we like go back over to what Klaus is seeing. And Klaus, you can see just pulsing throughout the bodies of your sleeping companions, their blood and all of their arteries and
Getting
you
a
can
little
see,
uncomfortable.
yeah, and you hear a hole. As Klaus's stomach, as your hand reach down to your stomach, you're starving.
I'm looking around. I immediately.
And you kind of think you haven't eaten in a while, and you know, like you have a quick moment, maybe to go get a bite to eat. Some
So
sort.
I leave, and I'm looking around for any animals or anything around the castle, like trying to.
You just kind of search throughout Argynvost.
Argynvost and outside. I look through Argynvost and outside, just kind
Okay,
of.
as you're kind of searching throughout Argynvost's hole, you come into the kitchen, and your heat vision can instantly see that there's like a nest of rats hiding in a cabinet below a window. As you're kind of looking, you can see that there's like a small little nest of rats underneath this cabinet.
Okay, so this is what happens.
As you see Klaus lick his lips.
Because the second those drawers open, it doesn't even take. It's like so quick you can't even do it. You just see super fast hands. Like drinking like a freaking gulp.
And go ahead and roll a d4.
Awesome.
Whoa.
What did I get? Where am I at? 3?
After scarfing down about 3 rats, all of a sudden you get an instant pain on the back of your head. Smash! It's like boom, as a solid wood sound. All of a sudden, I need a Constitution saving throw, please.
That did not sound good.
Oh, that wasn't good. That would be 5.
You turn around and you have just you feel to the back of your head your hand is wet. Your eyes are blurry after getting just knocked unconscious.
I speed
almost
past.
unconscious. You turn around, everything's super blurry, and you can see like a dark form in front of you. And then all of a sudden, you just see this super quick hand just grab onto your neck, and the necklace that you have on is like holding you up. You're like super dizzy as your eyes are trying to adjust. You kind of get the facial features of a hooded man. And it's very secluded. You can see the bottom of his chin.
What's the chin
as you're studying it, and all of a sudden you feel your necklace break, and as your consciousness, your eyes look up to the top of the room, as you fall and clunk your head against the cabinet. As you we see the view of Klaus, we just see the hooded figure turn on his heel and walk past the table as Klaus's vision fades to darkness.
Oh, that was rude. How long am I out?
About 13 minutes.
Cause I just scarfed down a bunch of rats, to be fair.
All of a sudden, you guys hear tweet, tweet through the window as a small little bird flies. It's a little yellow bird flies down from a branch, swooping low on the gardens of Argynvost Hold, flying up to a window. And then all of a sudden, a tongue comes out of nowhere from this gargoyle and sucks up the bird, and there's just this feather in his mouth, and then it's gone.
Who saw that?
Nobody saw that.
That's confusing.
That was just you. That was just.
Don't do that!
As you open your eyes, Klaus, it's daytime now, and you overslept your watch. You kind of push yourself up and stand
that table
up.
right
Your
there?
head is still a little sore. You like look down, and there's a small dried batch of a little pool of blood. You rub the back of your head, which is in pain, but it's fully healed up from your regeneration. As you kind of stand up, you're like weak as you stand up, and you immediately think of your friends as you run back in and into there, and they're both asleep. But Klaus comes bursting through the door, which awakens both of you guys. As Klaus is like panicked, and he looks around, and you guys cannot see. You guys notice that in where Callan was laying is just his robe.
I don't know what to do with this guy.
And I'm like, they're awake, right?
Yeah, they just woke up.
I don't quite say what I went and did. I had to leave to go take care of something important. And I was jumped, and whatever weapon hit me, the being I couldn't see coming, they dazed me when I was in a full mode, and whatever.
What?
I was attacked in the night last night by an unknown assailant. They took
Okay.
something I had taken from the castle, a key that was used from the hags by
As you're kind of looking around, go ahead and roll a perception check, Klaus. Trefor and Percy, you guys kind of awake. You guys are awake and have successfully done a long rest. You guys kind of feel good. A little sore from sleeping on the floor, but otherwise you guys feel fine. As you kind of stand up in this
what was
empty
the
room,
range then?
you guys see what perception?
Okay.
Natural 2 or what?
No, I rolled a 9, so it's 11.
It's actually hard to see, but you can see footprints leading from where Callan was standing that go out the door.
So I guess does he leave anything other than his cloak behind?
You look and there's just looks like a raggedy ass cloak.
I'm assuming. Okay.
Do you just check out the cloak? That's it? You just move on or what? Or you go check out the cloak?
The book.
Cloak.
Oh yeah, I pick up the cloak and see if there's anything like in the cloak.
When you
pocket.
pick it up, it's like thick with like a black goop. Like the only thing I can describe is like a thick ichor is like on it.
I smell it, try and investigate. Like, is there anything I can tell?
It just smells foul and it reeks. Smells horrendous.
Is it like putrefaction, death, or something else? Like horrendous. That's why I'm just trying to place the smell. It's like an unknown, a horrible smell.
Exactly.
Okay, I was like, whatever happened to him intentional. You both were sleeping, you weren't assailed, yet he is gone.
Yeah.
That's when Klaus kind of looks and sees the footprints again. And
We should follow
just
this.
instinctively follows them as we see Klaus walk into the main of Argynvost Holt. Following these footsteps that are left in the dust, he goes outside down these immaculate steps, and at the base of the steps, you can see that it's kind of muddy still from the previous night's raining. Again, it's morning time. It smells very fresh and wet and moist. It's very humid. You can see 2 footprints and like drag marks that are right here, and they lead off going further down the path this way. You follow these, you're kind of searching, and there's 2 sets of footprints, and the one that is Callan's meets up with the one that has the drag, and they walk down about 10 to 15 feet, and then they disappear, and they're gone.
Now, could I do an Arcana check on where they disappeared? See if I can sense any.
You sense no magic. You kind of turn around, and where was your dragon?
What?
Where was your dragon?
Where?
Yes.
In the main hall.
As you walk out, Percy, your dragon is in stone form,
Okay.
eternally resting. Trefor, you walk out, and you see the stone dragon sleeping, no longer having the green glow tint from the green scent seed gem.
Okay. I said that'd be in your pocket.
No, James is saying someone took it.
Oh, I think you took it out.
James is saying someone took a long rest.
Huh?
And that is the end of our session.
Okay.
That is?